Trump or death. That's what this is all about. That's going to be the code moving forward to the election. Okay? I'm going to end almost every segment with the same thing. Your choice is Trump or death.
This is Josh Bernstein about 11 months before Donald Trump lost the election. As it just so happens, we're still here, so oopsie daisy. Dude picked a whole bouquet of oopsie daisies on that one. But did that stop him? Oh no, he's still going. As it turns out, he's got some new clips out that I wanted to talk about. Let me introduce you to Christina Bobb, if you're unfamiliar. She's a Trump attorney. She worked for Donald Trump as his attorney at one point. I don't know why there was a falling out. He seems to have fallouts with his attorneys, like, constantly. But anyway, she's at the very least kind of like a PR person for Trump, right? And she goes on Josh Bernstein's show. By the way, Bernstein was kicked off of Roku and a whole bunch of other Apple podcasts. He was effectively deplatformed from all of these, like, bigger platforms because he... I'll show you, but he wished death upon people and called for their deaths. I'll show you the clip that got it, that got him removed in a minute. But listen to this brand new clip. This is Christina Bobb with Josh Bernstein, probably on his Rumble, because he'll accept pretty much anybody nowadays. Listen to this. This is from early March 2024.
The number one priority for President Trump has got to be picking somebody that the establishment, rhinos, and the...
Talking about picking somebody as vice president. By the way, it's weird that he's still alive, right? After that last video, I thought he would have been dead, huh? Trump or death? What happened?
And the globalists would not dare want to take his place. In other words, safety and insulation from, devastating attacks or assassination attempts or anything like that.
So Josh Bernstein believes that Donald Trump is in such danger from being assassinated that he needs to pick a vice president that would be less desirable than Trump himself so that people don't want to assassinate Donald Trump, because that would be like, getting the VP would be even worse than having Trump. I mean, who could that possibly be? Putin? Can he pick, like, literally anybody as his VP? Is that possible? Even if they're not U.S. citizens? I wonder. I don't know. Quick note before we continue, I want to let you know I just wrote a book. If you want to check it out, owenmorgan.com/book. It's a book about my experiences within Jehovah's Witnesses. It's completely understandable if you know nothing about Jehovah's Witnesses. And if you're a Christian, it's a good reference to use for why Jehovah's Witnesses are wrong about their interpretation of the Bible. The last chapter of the book is 100 questions that I have for the governing body. I'm selling the last chapter separately as its own separate guide if you guys want to get that too. So check it out, owenmorgan.com/book. I'd appreciate that. Usually when presidents pick vice presidents, they pick somebody that's going to shore up their weakness. So Biden has been around since black people and white people were drinking from different water fountains. I'm not even joking. In fact, he was a politician at the time. And he was viewed as racist, although I don't think he is, honestly. I think that he may have been at one point in his life, Biden, he may have been racist, but I don't believe that he's racist now. I think he strives not to be. Either way, he was viewed that way. So he picked a black woman as his vice president, Kamala Harris. VPs are usually intended to shore up the weaknesses of the president themselves. Hillary Clinton picked Tim Kaine as her VP because she wanted to win Virginia. She thought she had the Rust Belt down in 2016. She didn't have to worry about that. So her big thing was she wanted to make sure she won Virginia state. So she picked, I think, an ex-governor, an ex-senator, something like that, from Virginia. I think she even won Virginia, but it didn't get her the presidency, obviously. She should have picked Bernie Sanders, but she didn't, because the right was slandering her and smearing her as being too far left. And if she picked Bernie Sanders as her running mate, the moderates, the people in the middle, would have said, no, we want nothing to do with this. Donald Trump's weakness was people didn't believe that he was religious. I personally believe that he's our first atheist president, Donald Trump is. I don't believe for a second that Donald Trump is religious. So who did he pick? Mike Pence, one of the most religious people on planet Earth. Dude won't go into a room with another woman without his wife present. It's like a problem at this point. Anyway, so Josh Bernstein, obviously not understanding anything about how politics works, says we need to pick a vice president who is so detestable and grotesque and evil and disgusting to humanity that they're even worse than Trump, and that'll prevent Trump from being assassinated. Okay. Who could that be? Tell me in the comments, who is more detestable than Donald Trump? American citizen or not? Who is the most detestable, disgusting, awful vice president Donald Trump could possibly pick?
The sad part is that back in the old days, it was pick someone that you can work with, pick someone that you know you can trust,
pick someone that shores up your weakness. What's he even talking about here? This has nothing to do with the standard political wisdom or the standard political strategy.
Pick someone that you know you can trust. Pick someone that can help you win a state that you need.
Yeah, okay. Like Tim Kaine and Hillary, I suppose.
Pick someone that maybe has experience that you don't have. These are not the times we are living in. So if you can say one thing to President Trump, I would tell him to pick a candidate that would insulate him and make sure that not only does he win the election, but God forbid they ever would try to do anything. I mean, clearly you can look at Biden and then look at Harris and say, well, Harris is worse than Biden in a lot of ways.
In what ways is Kamala Harris worse than Biden? What is he even talking about? Quick interjection, this won't take long. If you like what I do, I'd appreciate it if you watch the video to the end. YouTube bases video reach off of watch time, so watching even an extra minute makes the video go further. Liking and subscribing goes a long way too. Finally, it would be awesome if you guys checked out my Patreon. All links are in the description, of course. Okay, back to the video. Neither of them are bad. Biden's bad quality is only bad because he's too far to the center, if anything. He's too moderate, I guess. But you know what? I think that might be why 2020 went to him in the first place, because the people in the center decided they didn't want Donald Trump anymore, and Biden wasn't too far left to vote for. They were okay with voting for somebody who had been in politics for a long time, could get things back on track to where they were before the Donald Trump era started, and was a little bit closer to the center. Fascinatingly, though, Biden has he's governed pretty far left, surprisingly, very far left. He's forgiven a ton of student loan debt, like a crazy amount. You wouldn't even believe it. Like, my wife is going to law school right now, and she's got like hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt already. And that's going to have to be paid down, and that's a nightmare. But Biden forgave $10,000 of it just out of nowhere. I was super surprised because Biden forgiving student loan debt is a very left-wing thing to do and pretty respectable. So I'm not sure what Bernstein's problem is exactly. People are telling me Mike Pillow is pretty bad as a VP pick. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Ron DeSantis would be bad. Teal Swan would be bad. Any cult leader. Remember, Tony Morris of the governing body. Oh, boy. Tony Morris, now an apostate, but he's, working. Now he's a member of, I don't know, the Catholic Church or something. And he decides that he literally writes a policy, an executive order for Donald Trump to sign that bans people from wearing tight pants. Oh, dude, I can see it now. I love it to death. Yeah, Tony Morris would be pretty bad as Trump's VP, but no. If we're going American or not, if it's irrelevant, if they're a U.S. citizen, Xi would be pretty bad, actually. I mean, Putin is the obvious, terrible choice, but getting creative with it. Oh, Kim Jong-un. Kim Jong-un Xi Jinping. Those would be pretty bad choices. Really bad choices. Mike Johnson would be bad. I don't know. Tell me who in the comments and see if you get upvoted. Let's see who would be the absolute worst by democracy in the comments. So anyway, this dude seems to think that like Donald Trump should pick the absolute worst vice president imaginable so he's not assassinated. Wow.
Try to do anything. I mean, clearly you can look at Biden and then look at Harris and say, well, Harris is worse than Biden in a lot
I don't know how. He's not even expanding on that.
of ways. And he needs to find someone so unpalatable to the establishment that not only could win, but they would never want to threaten President Trump. Tucker Carlson, Kerry Lake.
Ooh, those are all really bad choices. This dude's doing the heavy lifting for us, right? Yeah, so Tucker Carlson, Xi Jinping, Kim Jong-un, oh my God, Kerry Lake, Marjorie Taylor Greene. We've got, people are saying Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, Epstein is dead now, but he would be pretty bad, I guess. I suppose we can, all right, I'll tell you what, let's do this. In the comments, we can do fictional characters too. Not fictional, but like dead people, like actual people, real people, but people who may not be alive today, like Jeffrey Epstein, for example. But make it a real person. Tell me who in the comments. Like, who is literally the worst person that Trump could pick as his VP?
Matt Gaetz, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Matt Gaetz is another bad one.
Those types of folks. And I think that that's the most
all of those people
important
are
thing.
great people.
They're all great people. What? Oh my God, dude. This was Christina Bobb. This is Trump's attorney at one point. Kanye West. That's a good one. Kanye West. Yeah, he would be a fantastic, absolutely terrible vice president. Kanye West would be a bad pick. By the way, Kanye West had dinner with Donald Trump. These two guys right here on the left. Top is, in the center is Kanye West with a mask on. He doesn't want his face shown while he says all this anti-Semitic psychotic shit. And then on the left is Nick Fuentes. On the right is the founder of the Proud Boys and, believe it or not, the founder of Vice News. Really, I'm not joking. He's far right now. He's Gavin McInnes is his name. Anyway, he was interviewing Fuentes and Kanye West. Just let Kanye West explain it for us.
I think it's awesome for a presidential campaign.
Yeah?
To have someone that's honest, that understands the state of the world, and that's ready to listen to what the American people need.
But Hitler's got a pretty bad reputation.
Well, who made that reputation? That was made by Jewish people.
Well, the murdering Jews was a pretty big part of his bad reputation.
Yeah, but some of it's incorrect. Also, the Holocaust is not the only Holocaust. So
Okay.
for them to take that and claim, we have abortion right now. That's eugenics. That's genocide. That's.
Oh my God, dude, this is insane. For the record, this is Holocaust denialism. And by the way, this happened before the Palestinian-Israel stuff was blowing up, before October 7th. This is from like 2022 or something. So he was just straight up being anti-Semitic just for the sake of it. But the dude, not only does the dude have a problem with Jews, but he actually actively loves Hitler. Seriously, I'm not joking. Kanye West loves Hitler. His words, not mine.
Get the Hugo Boss uniforms, amazing. But I mean, just because you're in love with the design, you're a designer. Can we just kind of say like you like the uniforms, but that's about
No,
it.
there's a lot of things that I love about Hitler. A lot of things.
I don't like what he dug his own hole there. Like I said, Holocaust denialism. Hitler did kill 6 million Jews, and he kept meticulous records. We know that it was, give or take, 6 million Jews that died. I'm so sick of Holocaust denialism. And you know what? He's right. That wasn't the only genocide that took place. You know, there's the Rwandan one and others. The Uyghur Muslims. Canada did a cultural genocide against the natives, against the indigenous people there. The U.S. did one against the Native Americans here, Trail of Tears. There have been some real ugly things that have happened in the past, and denying that it's happened or twisting it around a little bit or whatever is just scumbag behavior. Like, scumbag behavior doesn't even begin to touch what it is. So yeah, Kanye West, he's up there. He's bad. He would be a bad VP. Tell me how bad of a VP you think he would be. Would he be the worst? The most disturbing thing about Josh Bernstein, though, in my opinion, back to Bernstein here, is that he is really well connected. He knows all kinds of political, not candidates, but like political actors, like members of the House of Representatives, of state houses and federal houses. This is Wendy Rogers on the right. I don't know if she's a Nazi or not, but she hangs out with Nazis. You remember that clip a second ago with Kanye, and there was that kid next to him, Nick Fuentes? Nick Fuentes is a Nazi, self-avowed, full-blown. He said, I am a Nazi, I love Hitler. That is the kind of thing that Nick Fuentes says and does, really. And Wendy Rogers, state representative in Arizona, showed up to Nick Fuentes' conference, AFPAC, America First Political Action Conference. And she also showed up to Josh Bernstein's show. This one is from 2021. This is late January 2021.
Thank you, Josh. You are a courageous champion
So courageous.
in a sea of muck, in a media milieu that you...
Oh boy, milieu, big words.
Milieu that you definitely stand out in. You have a command of the law, and I just admire you so much. I know we've sort of just met over the last few months, but you are brave, and you need to not, you need to acknowledge that. There are very few of you, especially in Arizona,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because she's an Arizona representative.
who stand out as knowledgeable and brave. And my hat is off to you.
Her head is off. Look at this banner. If it's banned on social media, you'll find it here. JoshBernsteinUncensored.com. Wow, dude. This guy seriously needs help. Like I said, in Alex Jones fashion, Bernstein was removed from things. He was removed from the Roku store, which is where a lot of people, get stuff. Like Jehovah's Witnesses have an app on the Roku store. He was removed from the Apple App Store, from Apple Podcasts, and from YouTube, and from everything else, all the junk. But he had his own website, and he wrote his own books, and he was perfectly free to say what he wanted. Nobody was arresting him for anything that he said. Although maybe that should have been on the table. He literally threatened violence against people, but that's neither here nor there. We'll get there. This is the clip that we talked about in the very beginning. This is the intro clip. He believed if Trump lost in 2020 and Biden became the president, he believed that he was going to die, or that we were going to die. Like, everyone was going to die. The United States was going to fall into complete disrepair, complete societal collapse. Trump or death is what he said, right? This one, by the way, this is mid-February 2020, so about 10 months before the actual vote took place in November 2020.
Trump or death. That's what this is all about. That's going to be the code moving forward to the election. Okay? I'm going to end almost every segment with the same thing. Your choice is Trump or death. Immigration, you want control over immigration, you vote for President Trump.
Oh, because he fixed it, right? Yeah, he had the office of the presidency from 2016 through 2020. And what did he do? Nothing. He did nothing. He wanted to build a wall, Donald Trump did. Apparently not realizing that the majority of people come in legally and overstay their visas. Yeah, there's a big hole where people can just stroll right through. They can walk from Mexico right into the United States unimpeded. That's true. You know why? It's called a humanitarian corridor, and it's required by international law. so that refugees can request asylum status. They must have a clear path to a United Nations application building. And what's Greg Abbott doing, like, right now? He's putting razor wire across the river and literally cutting people to ribbons. Well, not literally, I guess. He's cutting people to ribbons. People died because of what Abbott did, the governor of Texas. Really. The border is always the thing that the right fearmongers about to get people whipped into a blood frenzy when election time rolls around. Honestly, economies need to grow to improve. They need to grow and build, and to make that happen, you need more people pumping money into the system, giving it velocity, moving things around. Russia was offering women, I don't remember, basically the equivalent of like $10,000 or something, to have children. Have kids, as many as you can. We'll give you like 10 grand per kid. You know why? They want a baby boom. They want more people to be born into the system to kind of give like a shot of adrenaline, if you will, to the economy. That's what happens when there's a big baby boom like that. We don't have to worry about that in the United States. We don't have to birth our way into a good economy. There are people who are perfectly capable of working, perfectly qualified to do manual labor, strawberry picking, and they're capable of learning skills just as capable as anybody else. And in fact, some of them have education, like degrees and stuff. And what are we doing? We're putting razor wire across the river to cut them to ribbons, is what we're doing. Well, Biden asked Congress to grant some big special, like, emergency something or other to give him the authority to act, to fix things on the border, to change border policy or whatever in an emergency. Even though there's no emergency, there's no need to do anything or change or whatever. What we should be doing is letting as many people in as we possibly can, honestly. If we wanted to benefit the United States, we would open the floodgates wide open, just throw the doors open. But okay. So Biden says he wants to change border policy to make it more difficult, and he wants permission to do that. Ask Congress to help him, to give him that emergency authority to, like, get more border agents down there and everything else. And what happened? Donald Trump told Congress, pulling strings behind the scenes the way he claims Obama was, by the way, told Congress not to do any border deals because Trump wants to come in and fix it. They don't want the border fixed. There's nothing to fix about the border. They want to fearmonger about it. That's it. You see the same thing in Europe. Muslims are the European Mexican in the sense that Muslims are hated and talked down to and treated like garbage. Hijabs are banned in government buildings or in supermarkets or in this place or that place or whatever. All these people talk about loving freedom. I have the freedom to do whatever I want. If I want to wear a hat somewhere, then I should be able to wear a hat somewhere. But no, you're not allowed to in some places in Europe because they wrote bills to ban head coverings, hats, scarves, hijabs, that type of deal. Because of bigotry. Plain and simple. It's not about freedom. It was never about freedom. It was about bigotry and hatred. In the United States, we see the same kind of thing with against Mexicans, against South Americans, against others. Bigotry. Pure, unadulterated hate for no other reason than simply to hate people. If we wanted to improve this country, we would throw the floodgates wide open. Let everybody in. I mean, we need to document them. We need to have them go through the system. We need to make sure that they're not terrorists, but allow them to go to an asylum center. Bring in 50,000 brand new federal agents that can vet these people and help them get established in a new area and go from there. I see no downside to that. Apparently, the Republican Party does.
Over immigration, you vote for President Trump. You want more terrorists coming into the United States of America, you vote against him. It's really that simple. This is not about...
I mean, terrorists were not coming over the border or whatever, like he's claiming. Right now, Republicans are claiming that terrorists like Al-Qaeda is building a sleeper cell in the United States that was just arrested or some other nonsense. Absolutely no evidence for any of it, of course. They're claiming they're literally building an army right now in the U.S., fighting aged men. It's a joke. Do you have any idea, like, the level of logistics and maintenance that it takes to maintain an army? You've got to have food rations, and you've got to have a logistics communications network and all kinds of stuff. There is not a sleeper cell in the United States. It is simply pure, unadulterated, fear-mongering nonsense from these people, 24/7. I mean, to the point that they literally say, Trump or death. Trump or death. Does it get more over the top than that?
Policy. This is not about party. This is literally about survival. And the only one that's going to help us survive is President Trump being reelected.
Biden didn't really change border policy fundamentally from what it was under Donald Trump. So I don't know what they're complaining about. It's basically exactly the same.
Who knows what happens after that in 2024? We'll get to that and cross that bridge when we get there. But we've got to make sure that we get President Trump reelected. Because as I said, it's Trump or death.
Get help. Seriously, this is insane. Look at this. If they steal it, here's the absolutely terrifying freedom-crushing agenda America will be destroyed with. Wow, love that grammar. Look at this. They've got like the hammer and sickle, the symbol of communism. It's no longer Republicans versus Democrats. It's America versus communism. And that's a battle America must win. 2020 is no longer Republican versus Democrat. It's freedom versus tyranny. I mean, these are memes that he popped up during his show. This is insane. We are at war, Trump or death. This is absolutely nuts, honestly. All right, now listen to what he said next. I think that this one is from about 6 or 7 months after the one that we just listened to. This is from late September 2020. Last video about Trump or death, that was from mid-February 2020. So this is like 2 months before the election actually took place, right?
Everything, folks, is on the line. Everything. Now, I will end it with this. If, God forbid, they figure out how to steal this election, the only thing that's going to save this country is revolution. And trust me, it will happen. There's no question about it. And when it happens...
Dude, I love hindsight. Hindsight is like my favorite thing ever. I love looking back at these people and seeing them fall flat on their face with some of the like prophecies and or predictions that they made. So there's definitely going to be a revolution if Donald Trump loses in 2020, huh? I mean, like a revolutionary war type of deal. Okay. Go on.
We will have a new America. Yes, there will be blood spilled, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah. I bet he's sad about that one.
But they're bringing it upon us.
They are bringing it upon us. They're forcing us to kill him. They're forcing me to go to my gun safe. Yeah, right. Like this dude has a gun safe. And pull out the 357 Magnum and load it with bullets and point it at him and pull the trigger. They're forcing me to do that. Yeah. Absolutely, Josh. Totally. Uh-huh. Yeah, 100%. They're forcing Civil War 2.0. I mean, this dude lived in delusion land for like ever. I think this one was this next video. I think it was you know what? I think this is mid-December 2020. In fact, I think it's December 14th. It was before Biden was inaugurated, I think. Don't quote me on that. But after Trump had already lost.
Trump won a landslide, okay?
No, he didn't.
It was 410 electoral votes to 128, if you want to know exactly the numbers.
Oh, and where'd you get those numbers? What were those numbers again?
410 electoral votes to
410 votes for Trump to 128 votes for Biden. Really?
landslide, okay? It was 410 electoral votes to 128, if you want.
Where did he get that? Seriously, where did he... I mean, did he just come up with that, like, right off the top of his head? Did he just fabricate that?
I want to know exactly the numbers, okay? He absolutely crushed it in his second term. They just kept him from being able to serve, all right? Bottom line, Arizona, he won by a minimum of 400,000 votes. He won Georgia by a minimum of 200,000 votes.
Like, where is he getting any of this information? He's getting it from his head. It's made up.
Probably even more than that. New Hampshire, he won by 125,000 to 150,000 votes. Wisconsin, he won by 200,000 minimum in Wisconsin. And Michigan.
Dude, I love how he's just listing the swing states that he lost, and he's completely ignoring Florida or Ohio or any other possible, or Virginia or whatever. He's decided to zero in on those. Well, did they try to cheat in Florida or Ohio or Virginia then? This dude is such a joke.
And Michigan, he won by at least 350 to 400,000 votes. And of course, Pennsylvania, he won by at least 750,000 to as many as over 1 million.
Of course. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, totally. Get help, Josh. For real.
Votes. Clearly, this was a landslide victory.
I mean, you can say anything you want. It doesn't make it true. My God. All right, now let me show you the clip that I think probably got him banned from Roku and from Apple's stuff. Apple didn't want this stuff associated with their brand at all, understandably so. Hopefully this doesn't get taken down, but just listen to what he has to say here. Listen to this one.
I believe that the FBI and the Department of Justice should charge Ilhan Noor Saeed Elmi with sedition, treason, marriage fraud, voter fraud, illegal campaign contributions, immigration fraud, and aiding and abetting our enemies.
Okay, who? He said a name at the beginning. I cannot, like, I don't even know what he's talking about. He said Ilhan and then some long name after that. And now, why should she be charged with all of these things? Do you have any evidence to back up the claim that she's guilty of any of this at all? Of course he doesn't. It's like claiming Trump had 428 or whatever electoral votes. No evidence needed. You can say whatever you want. And it doesn't matter because your gullible audience will believe it. All right, listen again. Listen to what he called her here. By the way, look at the little the bar at the bottom here. Free songwriting and music lessons for veterans. Wow, dude. You know what? I should get a little bar along the bottom. I think that'd be useful.
I believe that the FBI and the Department of Justice should charge Ilhan Noor Saeed Elmi with sedition.
Ilhan Noor
Saeed Elmi.
Ilhan Noor Saeed Elmi. Is that what he's saying? Ilhan Noor Saeed Elmi? Why is he saying that? What does that even mean? Am I swearing? Am I saying like the equivalent of the N-word right now? Please tell me I'm not. Oh God, I don't know. I'm afraid I just said the N-word for Muslims. I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Should charge Ilhan Noor Saeed Elmi with sedition, treason, marriage fraud, voter fraud, illegal campaign contributions, immigration fraud.
Illegal campaign contributions, immigration fraud. Like, where did he get all of these ideas? Again, we haven't quite gotten to the part that got him banned from everything. Yeah.
And aiding and abetting our enemies. She is a worthless pile of shit. Okay? Let me be as clear as I can, Right Wing Watch. All right? She should be arrested, tried, and I know your favorite word, Right Wing Watch. What's your favorite word? How many articles have you written about me when I've used this word? The E word? That's right. This bitch should be executed. There it is. I said it once again.
Get help, Josh. This is not like the sign of somebody that has a healthy mind. This isn't the sign of somebody who is thinking in a reasonable, rational, logical way. You know, you and I, we'll just say Josh and I, we have differences in beliefs, right? And ideals. I have my ideals, he has his. Maybe I'm right. I believe I am. I'm 100% sure, in fact, that I'm correct about my position. That everybody deserves rights and that Ilhan Omar isn't a bad person. We'll just go with that one. But he's 110% sure that she is a bad person and she doesn't deserve human rights or whatever. So we have to agree on some ground rules here, right? We have to agree to not root for the execution of our political enemies. I do not wish for Trump's execution. I can't, it's so far out of my purview, I can't even believe that I'm saying it. At best, I want justice to be served, and justice shows, if Donald Trump were guilty of every charge that he has under his belt right now, he would be in prison for the rest of his life. I'd be happy with that. I don't like the death penalty. I don't want the death penalty for anybody, certainly not Trump. Why does he think it's acceptable to wish death upon people and to actually call for it? That's psychotic. And you know the even more psychotic part about this? This isn't even that crazy in today's world. I hear this stuff all the time nowadays. This was enough to get him removed from Roku and Apple Podcasts and everything back then in 2020. I've heard this from so many people I can't even count now. Get help, Josh. This is nuts. And let me know what you think about it and tell me who would be the worst vice president for Donald Trump, living or dead, in the past 100 years. We'll put that's one of the rules. Past 100 years, living or dead. Worst person you can think of. Doesn't even have to be a U.S. citizen. Tell me in the comments. We'll democratically decide through likes and dislikes which one would be the worst. Tell me what you think.